Tonight on Meet Your Double Feature, two young fighters are forced to compete in a deadly martial arts tournament. Bonds will be tested and blood will be spilled in Shootfighter, Fight to the Death. Then, four lost souls wander the streets of Hong Kong under cover of night, searching for meaning and companionship in their troubled lives. Bonds will be tested and blood might be spilled in Fallen Angels. It's a dark and deadly double feature, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Meet Your Double Feature, a double-blind movie review podcast. My name is Thomas, joined as always by my brother Frank. Frank, how are you?
As always, what do I say? Excited. I'm always excited.
Excited. You're always excited. You're never not excited.
Yep.
I like how you followed it up with the most unexcited tone. Anyway, for our folks who are new to our show, our premise on Meet Your Double Feature is very simple. Each episode, Frank and I are going to exchange recommendations for films that neither of us has previously seen. We'll then review those on the show and find out in real time if the movies we picked were new favorites for the other person or a complete dud. And if you've been listening so far, we have had a few examples of both. But Frank, I think you're kicking us off today with the first review. I asked you to watch, I don't remember the year, but the film is called Shootfighter, Fight to the Death.
Yeah, it's 1993 Shootfighter.
1993. Okay. Early 90s. If you caught the end of our previous episode, you'll know that I selected this entirely based on the cast and premise because it features a number of actors from the original Karate Kid movie, specifically like the Cobra Kai guys, Johnny Lawrence and Sensei Kreese. Presumably this was like stunt casting. They took both of them and cast them in a different martial arts movie several years later. And I can only imagine it's a 12 out of 10, 11 out of 10. How did we do?
Well, listen, I have to tell you about my experience watching Shootfighter, okay?
Oh, okay.
there's a preamble to this.
There's a preamble. Okay.
So I did what I always do, right? Just going to Google just to see where the movie is streaming, right? You know, I'm like, where can I watch this movie? So I type it in, and the only thing that pops up is it's showing on Sling TV, which is one of those like free with ads services, you know? So yeah, Sling TV, remember that. That'll be important.
Wait, remember? Oh, okay.
Later.
There's a quiz, folks.
Yeah, and later is right now because I watched it.
Gotcha.
I watched it on Sling TV, and to fast forward to the very end of the movie real quick, the movie ends on a freeze frame. Funny enough, it's like a freeze frame of this guy getting punched, and then the title card pops up over the freeze frame, and it says Shootfighter 2. And I'm like, wait, what?
Wait a second.
I was like,
Did you watch Shootfighter 2?
I watched the second movie first.
Come on. There was no indication during the movie that something else had happened?
None. I watched the whole movie without realizing it was a sequel.
Because were the two actors still in it?
Well, Zapka's still in it.
Okay, Johnny Lawrence is in it.
Yeah, exactly. But I watched the whole movie and I was like, I thought Kreese was supposed to be in this movie too. But but it literally, like, the story gave no indication.
There was no title card.
Not at the beginning.
There's no early movie title card. Okay.
And here's the thing. I blame Sling TV for this because this was the difference here. I tested this afterwards because I did this on my computer. I was watching it on my computer. Like I said, just typed it into Google, clicked the link to Sling TV, and then, like, you know, I paused the movie a couple times, like go grab a drink or go to the bathroom or something. And, you know, like on the video player, like above the progress bar, it said the title of the movie. And it said Shootfighter, Fight to the Death, which is the first movie.
So we had a legit like UI problem here.
Yes. Yes, like when I was sitting there watching it, it was telling me this is what you asked for. This is the first movie. And then it wasn't until the very end when that my first thought was like, huh, they really thought there was going to be a sequel already. And then I was like, oh no. This was the sequel.
Can you imagine just sitting through this whole review being like, I can't believe they thought there was going to be a Shootfighter 2.
Yeah. And I'm serious, like there's one line in that second movie where they're like, oh, you know, that business back in Mexico or whatever. And I was like, I thought that was just like to allude to this character's like past, you know?
Yeah, world building.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that was the first movie that they were talking about. But that's the only indication that this was a sequel to anything.
So, are we now reviewing Shootfighter 2, or did you watch the first one?
Well, I'm a professional, so I went back and I watched this. This is why.
Oh man!
This is why I asked to push a recording date to today instead of yesterday, because I had to go back and watch the first Shootfighter.
Oh, that was yesterday. Oh.
Yes. I was like, I got a whole nother freaking movie to watch here.
You played that so cool. You were just like, hey, boss. Can we wait like 12 hours?
Yeah, I didn't want to tell you. I had to reveal it in this manner.
That's awesome. So you just watched double Shootfighter.
Yeah, so you're getting a double feature on my end because I got to talk about both of them. So.
Oh, honestly, in a really weird way, that kind of applies to the movie you asked me to watch too. I didn't watch two films, but I'll get into that when I talk about Fallen Angels.
Whoa. That's it. There's always some connection we can make between the movies somehow.
Yep. Very loose, and I will pull on that thread.
Okay. Yeah.
So, okay, how should we review this though? Do we need to review Street Fighter? Do we need to review Shootfighter 2 first?
Well, I was gonna ask you. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we could do them in. Like, honestly, the main one I want to talk about is the first one because the second one kind of sucks.
Okay.
But
why don't we do the original Shootfighter, which you watched yesterday, and then just like a brief touch in on things from Shootfighter 2? Because at that point, I'll know the characters, you know?
Yeah, they'll be so, yeah, of course.
I'll know their story, their, how they behave, that business in Mexico.
Business in Mexico, man. That is the first movie.
You remember in Avengers, like the first several Avengers movies, they had, was it like Hawkeye and Black Widow kept saying like, oh, that business in Budapest, remember? And it was supposed to be just like a bit.
Yep.
I feel like that's how they did it in Shootfighter.
That's what I thought. That's why I didn't even it didn't even register that might have been events we were supposed to be familiar with because they have no bearing on the second movie at all. It's just like basically a throwaway line in that second one. So yeah,
this is so funny. I can't get over this. the coalescence of factors that you had to use a resource that actually just auto-played the wrong movie with the title of the other one.
Yes.
And by sheer coincidence, the movie in its opening credits doesn't say the title, but at the end of the movie, it does. Because if it hadn't shown the title at the end, you would have just been talking about this as if it was the first movie.
Exactly. That was such a jump scare at the end of the movie. I was like, the way my brain had to go through the steps to process what had just happened, like Shootfighter 2, and it's so abrupt too. The movie just ends. Like I said, it's like mid-sentence almost. It's just somebody getting punched, freeze frame, title card, and I'm like, wait, what just happened?
It's like the end of The Sopranos, where he's like in the middle of saying something, and then we cut to black, but then it pops up with Sopranos 2.
Yes, just as confusing as if that had happened.
Oh, it's really funny. This is my favorite episode.
It was a lot. It was a lot for me to deal with. We got 2 movies out of it though.
We got 2 movies. Okay, well I guess let's not waste any time. What happens in the first one?
Well, also one last thing I want to say about finding the movie.
Sure.
The first movie is not streaming anywhere.
Okay.
I thought I was going to have to sail the high seas to find it. But thankfully some person, shout out to whoever did this, uploaded like a pretty decent 720p version of the movie to YouTube. So that's where I saw the first one was just somebody uploaded it to YouTube, thankfully.
Okay. Yeah, that happens. I've seen many a good movie randomly added to YouTube by some rando.
Yeah, and I feel like, for a movie like this, it's like, who cares? Who even owns the rights to that? Just let it be.
It's a good question. I don't think anybody's clamoring to be like, what? They're sharing Shootfighter? And then they're like, which one?
What do you mean there's more than one?
No, we just put that in at the end. That was Shootfighter 2. It's just the credits.
It could have been. Who knows? All right. This is a very nebulous film series that is a Karate Kid spin-off sort of.
Yeah. Rip-off, spin-off.
I mean, it's exactly, to just get into it. It's exactly like you said. It was stunt casting in this first one to bring in Billy Zabka and what's Crease's name?
I think it's Martin Cove.
Yes, Martin Cove. It credits him as a special appearance by Martin Cove, even though he's the main antagonist of the film. And I think the reason for that, if I was what I was seeing on the trivia, is that there was a different cut of the movie without him in it at one point. So he was added in, which kind of leads to, how in Heat there's that scene where it's Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, and it's their first time on screen together, but they're not actually on screen together because their scenes were shot at different times. And it's just
I'm loving this comparison already. Al Pacino and De Niro to the two guys from Shootfighter.
Well, that's exactly.
Remember when those two icons sat across from each other and everybody got excited and clapped before they said anything?
This is awesome. No.
Yeah. So they filmed Martin Cove in separately, presumably after the original shoot of the movie?
Yes, because there is a scene where it's Billy Zabka and Martin Cove talking to each other, but it's shot in this reverse shot way where they weren't actually there at the same time, and it's just but these are the two, this is your connection here. These are your two Karate Kid characters, these are your Cobra Kai guys.
Interesting.
But yeah, so Zabka was in it from the beginning, but Martin Cove was added in later. But he's great in it. He's the main antagonist, and I think in the original cut of the movie, the guy who winds up being his second in command was who was supposed to be when they originally shot it. He was the main antagonist.
He got demoted.
He got demoted, yeah. And so, but he winds up having some great scenes throughout the film that were presumably there from the original cut, where he's the one sort of interacting with the protagonists of the film a lot. But he's played by Edward Albert, who you and I know from, he is Mr. Collins from Time Force. It's Wes's dad.
The Red Ranger's dad from Time Force. Man, see, that's the other thing. We get a Power Rangers reference in every episode.
Oh, and it gets better from there, actually. So this film there's 3 credited writers, but the top billed writer is Judd Lynn, who...
No way.
Judd Lynn, dude. And not only that, this was his first writing credit and his only writing credit outside of Power Rangers.
That's awesome. Okay, I feel like we need to contextualize that. So yeah, Judd Lynn was a lead writer for the Power Rangers series in the 90s when it was still kind of a big deal. I don't know if he was writing on it from the time that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers first started, but he definitely carried through it all the way until 2001, where he wrote Time Force, which is the one you and I like the most as kids and as adults.
Yeah, I was going to say that qualifier is not necessary.
Sorry, put down my signed copy right now. That's fascinating. So if this movie was 93, that's also when Power Rangers started. So I guess maybe he did this and then immediately transitioned over and was like, yeah, I can write karate stuff.
Yeah, well, I looked it up. He was a production coordinator on Power Rangers from the beginning of the series. And then this was 93. And then from 94 onward, he was a writer for Power Rangers. And he left the series after a certain point. It might have been after Time Force, actually.
I want to say it was around the time that Power Rangers became a Disney property, sometime in the early 2000s.
Yes, but he's recently come back, and now he's a writer for the series again.
Oh, okay. Anyway, this is a huge pop for me. Big fan of Judd Lynn.
Yeah, so it's him and Edward Albert, who was a major character from that series too. So there's a lot coming together here. You also got Bolo Young, who's obviously
Bolo Young,
martial arts film royalty. Yeah. Anyway, then the movie happens.
Honestly, I have no idea how much of that is going to make it into the episode. It's literally just 15 minutes of us going, wow, first Frank watched the wrong movie. Also, Power Rangers.
I just thought that was fun. Yeah.
That's super fun. No, I'm keeping that in. That's for the real fans.
It's for the sickos out there that.
Yeah. Judlin heads in the house. Okay, please continue.
Yeah. So you got Karate Kid, you got the Power Rangers, there's a lot going on here. And the movie is honestly, it's a lot of fun. Like you were saying before, 11 out of 10 in terms of just sheer like B-movie martial arts action, you know?
Okay, good. Because some of the B-movie martial arts movies look like they're going to be like goofy fun, and then they just get like real boring, you know, like just not a lot of action or like a really awkward story. Sounds like this avoided those problems.
Yeah, the first one.
The duology of Shootfighter.
Yeah, Shootfighter 2, my goodness. But yeah, no, it's there's been a million movies like this. I mean, even at one point, I was talking to you about I still kind of do want to write like a similar type of like martial arts film. But I think this one was kind of this was around the time when like UFC was first taking off.
Oh, okay.
And so there was like, you would see it pop up in a lot of media around this time where it was like this kind of mysterious thing where it was like, there's no rules and no weight classes, which early UFC was a mess. It really was like that.
Yeah. They were shoot fighting.
Yeah, exactly. So they talk about, that's how they talk about it in this movie. They're like, ooh, shoot fighting. Like, it's like, what is it? So mysterious.
So mysterious. How does it work? And you're like, well, you fight the guy, Chief. I don't know what you...
Yeah. But basically, to get into the setup or the story of the movie, it starts with a flashback where it's like Bolo Young's character and Martin Kove are competing in like, I guess early shoot fighting. And, you know, it shows Bolo Young, like he wins his fight and then Martin Kove is like fighting his friend in the next round. And he's like, after this, it's you and me in the finals, you know? And then Martin Kove winds up like killing Bolo Young's friend in their fight. And he literally does I can't remember which Jean-Claude movie this was, but you remember the one where like, I heard he ripped a guy's throat out and then he like actually does it later in the movie?
Oh, that's actually from Roadhouse. Patrick Swayze.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah, I was mixing it up. That is a Roadhouse thing. Yeah.
That is the entire first act of Roadhouse is them saying the Patrick Swayze quote, ripped a guy's throat out. And you're supposed to be like, I don't know what that means, but don't worry, he does it.
Yeah. It's also like in Roadhouse, they set it up like it's like this like urban legend type thing. But no, then he literally rips a guy's throat out. And so does Martin Kove. Martin Kove does the exact same thing. He just rips a man's throat out and kills him. And that scene is so awkward because like Bolo Young is there. And like the ref, like Martin Kove's like choking this guy out. And the ref is like, okay, it's over. You won. He's like, leave him alone. And Martin Kove is just like staring Bolo Young down this whole time. And Bolo Young just doesn't help his friend. I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, why?
Well, he respects the rules.
I guess so.
He's not supposed to be in there.
But the match is over. Like, the ref is trying to pull Martin Kove off, but Bolo Young's just like, nah, he's got this. My buddy's fine. And then
Jimmy's going to turn it around. Just you wait.
Yeah, and he just rips his throat out.
Yeah. Jimmy?
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Put that throwback in, Jimmy. We need you out there.
Yeah, so Bolo Young's just an idiot. But
good start.
Yeah. So then this sets off, I guess Martin Kove's whole thing is then he gets like ejected. They're like, you're done. You disrespected shoot fighting. You're never shoot fighting again, kid. Just
everything about this is so funny.
It is. It's honestly hilarious. And so, but then I guess he just really wanted to fight Bolo. Like that's his whole thing. Is like he wanted to fight him and he never got the chance to because he got kicked out of the league or whatever. And like exiled to Mexico, I think, is what happened.
Oh, the business in Mexico.
Yeah. So anyway, then we jump forward in time. Billy Zabka is like a student. It literally looks like a scene straight out of Cobra Kai. It's like the first time you see him, he's in like a karate dojo, like teaching these kids karate. And it might as well be the same set they used from Cobra Kai. I'm like, what do we...
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the same thing. But this is so interesting. This is like, you know, you had like baby Billy Zabka in Karate Kid and then like older in Cobra Kai. This is like his middle Pokemon evolution. Like...
Oh, yeah. This is peak Zabka, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, he's great. he's such a good, like, he's what carries that Cobra Kai show. And, like, he carries this movie, too. I'm like, he's had a good career specifically doing these types of, like, martial arts focused films. But I honestly feel like he could have done more outside of that. He's not the strongest actor, but he definitely has a good charisma to him, and he's just entertaining to watch.
Yeah, there's something for being likable. You know, you don't have to be like an amazing dramatic actor as long as you have like kind of just on-screen magnetism. And I agree, he got kind of limited by typecasting here.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, he's teaching these kids at this karate school, and Bolo is his sensei. He calls him Shifu, which is, I guess,
I'm sure that's a term
that's a
that
thing.
I just am not familiar with.
Yeah.
Like sensei equivalent, maybe.
Yeah, I believe so. And so then his friend, who is also a martial artist, comes back into town, and he's like bad boy, leather jacket, cool guy. And Billy Zabka is dating his sister. So these are like your lead characters. It's, Billy Zabka, his love interest, and then her brother, who, like, the two of them are friends. And honestly, that guy's great too. The actor's name is Michael Bernardo, and he's also a martial artist. Oh, I want to point out too, Billy Zabka does like all of his own stunts in this movie, from what I can tell.
Oh, neat.
He, like, when they're doing his action sequences, they shoot it wide, so you can tell it's him. And he's got some great moves. I didn't realize, like, maybe it's been a while since I've gone back and, I guess, watched the original Karate Kid. And, I think they did a lot of stunt double work for him in the new Cobra Kai series. But I was, like, shocked at how much of, like, these, sweet kicks that Zabka was pulling out himself.
That's really neat. I mean, I would have assumed that he could do a lot, but like you said, even sometimes when the actors are capable, they still use a lot of stuntmen in the same role just because of the worry that they might get injured. Like if your lead actor breaks his foot doing a kick, then the whole production is halted, even if he does know how.
Of course, absolutely. But in this, they're like, get out there, Zabka.
Get out there, Zabka. Kicks. We'll just edit somebody else in if you get it.
That's what we got this other. We got Bernardo for over here.
We got Bernardo, we got Ralph Macchio in the wings.
Also, this film was the same fight choreographer as the Karate Kid series.
Interesting.
So
okay,
another
this is
time.
literally bridging the gap between like 80s martial arts classics like Karate Kid and Bloodsport to the 90s era stuff, which is mostly Power Rangers.
Well, I was looking up that choreographer as well. He also he was the stunt and fight choreographer for the live action Ninja Turtles movies too.
Oh, see, this is great. How did we not know this movie existed?
I know.
This feels like something we should have watched like a dozen times when we were younger.
Yes. And the first one I would rewatch. Not the second one.
I'm so excited about the second one.
The second one is upsetting. But the first one's fun. And I like I was saying, the other character too, Michael Bernardo, because he is not a strong actor by any means, but he, again, goes out there and does some sweet kicks.
Sweet kicks.
And they tell an interesting story with these two. So basically, like, where the story of the movie goes is Martin Kove, like, finds out that these two are the students of Bolo. And so he wants to lure them to his shoot fighting tournament in Mexico in the hopes that Bolo will come with them so that he can fight Bolo. That's all he wants to do. It's just like throw hands with this man.
Wow. So the villain of the story isn't even really concerned with the main characters of the story.
He's concerned with, I mean, if you count Bolo Young's character as one of the main characters, even though he's really not, no. But it leads to some interesting developments for our main characters because, like, basically, like, Billy Zabka, he's running this karate school, and I guess he, like, took out a loan from some loan sharks, and they're, like, after him, and so he gets into some fights early on in the movie when his buddy Bernardo is back in town, and they're, like, they're beating up these guys who are trying to come after him for this money, and so then Martin Kove sends Edward Albert's character to, like, recruit them, and he offers them all this money to come be in the shoot fighting tournament in Mexico. And Michael Bernardo, his character's name is Nick. It's Nick and Ruben. Billy Zabka is Ruben, and his friend's name is Nick. he's like, no, man, this seems sketchy as hell. I don't want to go to Mexico and do whatever shoot fighting is. But
they can't figure out the concept of a real fight. It's like, all I know is like pro wrestling, tables, ladders, and chairs.
There's actually a lot because the two of them early in the movie, like Ruben and Nick, they fight each other in basically like the All Valley. Again, it's like it looks like the same locations. It's all shot in like the Valley in California, so it just looks like Cobra Kai and Karate Kid.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, there's a lot of dialogue between them where they're like, there's no points in shoot fighting. Like, kill or be killed.
Yeah, it's not the like first to three.
Yes.
Okay. That is a difference. I mean, all of Karate Kid was built around the like point system fighting.
Yes, exactly. And so like the two of them have like kind of a playful fight where they compete against each other in some kind of like competition. And Billy Zabka wins that one. 3 points to 1. He kind of squashed Nick, but
wow, not making Nick look good.
But this leads to something later in the movie. But so then they you know, because he needs the money, because he has these loan sharks after him, Nick doesn't want him to go, but he's like, I'll go with you. And then he like lies to his girlfriend about, you know, what they're going to do. So they wind up and they go do this shoot fighting. It winds up being really dangerous. The whole time Nick is like, we got to get out of here, man. Like, this is crazy. And it leads to this interesting intersection between our two lead characters where, like, at the beginning of the movie, Nick is like the bad boy. Like, he was like out of town because he was like on the run from some people. Like, he had to, you know, ditch town for some reason. And Billy Zabka is the one who was kind of like the more like straight and narrow, you know, he was like teaching this karate school and stuff. And they kind of start to go in like opposite directions as the movie goes on. Nick is like, dude, I don't want to do this, man. He's like, I'm going to go train with Bolo to do like actual competition martial arts. And Billy Zabka's like, nah, man, shoot fighting. Like,
You got the taste for it.
Yeah.
Ah, man, that's funny. He's an addict.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was like, oh, this is kind of fun, like to see these two characters like kind of go in these opposite directions. And there's even like a montage, you know, near the end of the film where it's like Bolo Young is like training the other guy, and they're doing like kind of like classic Karate Kid type montage training. And then Billy Zabka's just like fighting dudes in the street, like,
oh no.
And so, anyway, this culminates with them winding up in the finals of this shoot fighting thing. Like, and it's this fun sequence where it's like Billy Zabka, he's like competing in it, whereas like, you know, his friend Nick didn't want to, so he like stayed behind, but then he goes later to try and basically save Billy Zabka because when they're fighting in the finals, you know, they're like fighting to the death. So he's like, he's gonna die out there. And there's this whole thing, there's this funny like recurring thing where it's like Billy Zabka just kind of, you know, he left his girlfriend behind, and then there's just like a series of scenes where she's like, where'd he go? And they're like, to Mexico. And then like Nick leaves, and then she asks like somebody else, she's like, now where did Nick go? And they're like, to Mexico. And then like
much business down there.
Yeah, and then Bolo is the last one, then he leaves, and then she's asking somebody else, she's like, now where did Bolo go? And they're like, to Mexico. And she's like, damn it. And then she's out of the movie.
Out of the movie?
Yeah, there's no resolution with her character. Like, you think it's gonna lead to like Billy Zabka kind of having this redemption and then like patching things up with her, but past a certain point in the movie, you do not see her again. And
that's kind of in line with the Karate Kid tradition too. For some reason, LaRusso in those movies never has like a real resolution with his love interest, and then they just tell you in the next movie that she disappeared at some point.
Yeah, she's not in the next movie either, which is funny because Nick is in the next movie, and like that's his sister, but she's not mentioned at all in the second movie.
Didn't you have a sister? What?
No, Mexico.
That's great. Shoot fighting.
Yeah. So anyway, it leads to a fun ending sequence where like Billy Zabka is like fighting in the finals of the shoot fighting tournament, and like Nick is like backstage like fighting these other guys trying to like break in and like save him, and he winds up backstage fighting the champ of the shoot fighting arena, who's kind of been this like background character hanging around with the bad guys.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is fun. Just a little backstage fight with the champ back here between Nick.
Now we are doing pro wrestling again.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the conclusion of the movie leads to like Nick gets captured, and Martin Kove like makes a deal with him. He was like, he's like, you go out there into the cage, you fight one of my fighters, and if you win, you and Ruben, Billy Zabka, can go free. And then he makes them fight each other. So it's like the two friends fighting, like shoot fighting. And Nick wins this time. So this is like,
okay.
because he kind of got beat very easily by Ruben in the beginning, but now Ruben's gone down this dark path, the shoot fighting dark side. And so Nick wins. But then the end of the movie, Bolo finally shows up. And then Martin Kove's like, forget everything. I got to fight this dude. And so then like those two wind up fighting in the cage. And then Bolo wins. And then it's like hard cut to credits. Movie is over. There is no resolution for our lead characters at all. They just sit on the sidelines for the the end of the movie.
So weird.
Yeah.
Such a like cheap movie thing of like just end on a high beat and don't spend money filming anything afterward.
Well, it's also like talking about like the Karate Kid. They were seemingly trying to make Bolo their Mr. Miyagi because like
that's a hard sell.
It is, and it doesn't work. Because hard cut after he beats Martin Kove, and then it's like over the credits are over this like footage of him like practicing his karate on the beach or whatever, and it's like the way they present his character throughout the movie, like he almost never talks, but I think that's more of like a language barrier thing than anything else.
That's what I mean. Bolo, like your wizened mentor character needs to be more of like someone who can speak to the main character and kind of offer guidance than someone who is just physically capable and probably still close enough to their prime that it doesn't even make sense. Like Bolo works as a bad guy. He could work as the good guy in the movie, but he should be more involved. He's not Master Splinter.
Yes, exactly. And that's how they present him in this. And this is one of his rare good guy roles. I think he's usually cast as like the intimidating bad guy character. There's a hilarious scene where when it's like during the montage where it's Bolo, he's training Zapka's friend Nick, and they like there's no dialogue in this scene because it's like music is playing over it, and they come upon this kid, he's like playing basketball, and Bolo's like, let me show you something, but it's all like pantomimed out. You're just watching this happen, and he like shows the kid how to do this like trick shot, and then he tries to get like Nick to do the trick shot, and he can't do it, but like Bolo and the kid can do it. And then as they're like jogging away from that scene, there's just this really awkward ADR where like the kid like makes the trick shot and then he just goes, I'm Magic Johnson. Just like, what the heck was that?
Magic Johnson. See, now if they'd paid that off at the end of the movie and the guy had like punched a dude through the heart.
Oh, that does happen.
What? He says I'm Magic Johnson?
No, not the Magic Johnson part.
Oh, well, you can't tease me like that. That
Sorry,
would have been great.
That was unclear. There is a part where a dude gets punched through the chest and has his heart ripped out, but he doesn't say.
Okay, that's the part that I'm picturing a scenario where you're catching the end of what you don't realize is Shootfighter 2. Somebody punches a man's heart out, winks at the camera, says, I'm Magic Johnson, and then Shootfighter 2 pops up, and you're like, am I dead? What's happened?
Yeah, it was pretty close to that already, even without the Magic Johnson part. That just made me bust out laughing. I was like, why did they put that in there?
That's really weird. Like, I get it. He was a popular basketball guy, but that's not what this is about.
It's just, yeah. So... Anyway, I don't even know where to go from there.
There's so little you need to say. Like, anyone who likes martial arts films is probably already hooked just because they know who's in this one and they know that it's not like a total mess. I think if you get some good action out of it and a serviceable enough story, like that's all you need, right?
Yeah, and honestly, the fact that they're like, again, considering I watched the second one first and then this one, I was like, oh, there's a story. That's a nice thing to have, I guess.
That is part of a movie, now that I think about
it. Checks my notes, like, oh, story, yeah. Interesting.
Title card, too. Did not get that for a while.
Yeah, so yes, the first one... is fun and a lot of intersection of interesting on-screen connections between actors with different franchises and like behind the scenes too. So this one really, kind of like you said, this seems like something we should have seen already.
Oh, absolutely. This feels like a movie we should have gotten from a blockbuster and been over the moon about and watched like 50 times and then come back to it later and been like, was this actually any good at all?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, we used to watch, what was it? We used to watch Three Ninjas all the time. We had a VHS of Three Ninjas that we wore out. And then I think one of us sat down to watch it more recently and we were like, wow, this is like a home video. It's so bad.
Oh yeah, Three Ninjas is a tough rewatch. This would hold up. It's fun.
Good.
Like the action sequences are good. Like the kind of visuals of when they're, they put them in some kind of interesting locations for this shoot fighting stuff. It's just silly, like, B-movie martial arts action, but in a good way.
Yeah,
in a good way.
In a good way.
It's elevated by all those other factors, like by the cast, by like. Oh, there's also just one more thing. There's a really interesting sequence in the end where when Bolo is fighting Martin Kove, like he has these like two like sticks, like they're both fighting with like these two sticks, and for some reason I don't know why he did this, but Bolo Young starts like kind of clapping them together to this like beat in the middle of the fight. And the audience that's there, they start clapping along with him to the beat. And then he starts like speeding it up, and they start speeding up their claps. So he's like hyping the crowd up with this. And then he just like stops and then like goes back to like fighting Martin Kove. But then like the score of the film like picks up that beat that he started with the sticks. And I was like,
oh, interesting.
That was actually fun. I don't know what the hell he did that for, but like that was cool.
Yeah. That's a good blend of like diegetic sound and then feeding that into the score. That's cool.
Yeah. It just didn't work that like the end fight of the movie was not with our main characters. It was just the way they had to like put Bolo over at the end. I don't know. It was, that part was, and the second movie ends the exact same way.
Wait, what? Yeah. Okay, hold on. So that's Shootfighter 1, 1993. First off, how soon after did they make the next one?
The second one is 96.
Oh, okay. So a little while later.
Yes.
Probably got some sort of good home video return. So we get to the second one. Martin Kove is gone. We get Zabka back. Is there anybody else from the first one who makes it to the sequel?
It's Zabka, Bolo, and Bernardo. His friend Nick is also in the second one.
Okay, so I mean your three leads, your main cast comes back, I guess. That's good.
Yeah, totally. And they make friends with a third guy in the second movie who dies. So, like...
Okay, yeah.
So, like, watching the second one and then watching the first one, I was like, I kind of get the feeling that they wanted to make, like, a bunch of Shoot Fighter movies, and, like, these were going to be your recurring characters. So it really felt like they brought that second guy in, or that third guy in the second movie just to die. Like, they're just like, that's why you're here.
Yeah, we just needed to get some tension.
Yeah. But man, like, I guess I won't talk about the second one for too long, because I wasn't supposed to watch it. But
you were not. This was not the homework.
But it was so much worse. And just like, I feel like had a much smaller budget. I don't know if the second one, I didn't look into it too much. The second one might have been like, maybe this first one got like a theatrical release and the second one was like a straight to home video thing. But I mean, you could feel it. It was just so rough around the edges. And like the main thing that stands out to me about that one is endless. Like when the fights in that one are so dull and they are just endlessly cutting away to these extras in the audience that clearly have no idea what they're reacting to,
Right.
Like it's just like B-roll basically that they probably shot later and they're just like, ooh, ah, like
Well, because how else am I supposed to know how I feel about it?
Dude, it's comical how many times they cut to these people. And it's like you got to know those extras better than the main characters in the movie.
See, now in the third Shoot Fighter, it's about all those extras.
Yes. And it's like, it's so obvious too, because in like the beginning of the movie, they're there for this like exhibition cage shoot fighting match or whatever. And, it's all these extras that they're constantly cutting to. And then the end of the movie is in the same location and it's all the same extras because they clearly filmed it at the same time. And so I'm like, oh, so I guess the exact same people showed up to this fight in the exact same seats, wearing the exact same clothes.
Season tickets, all right? Season ticket shoot fighting fans.
Yeah. And so it's just, that one is so rough around the edges. And the main villain in the second movie, it almost felt like they were like playing a mean prank on this guy by putting him in this movie because...
What does that mean?
Because he's intimidating looking. Like, he's like a big dude, but his voice is so low and soft-spoken, but he's trying to be like this intimidating bad guy character, and it just doesn't work at all. It's almost like a comedy thing, like, to try and hear this guy, like, deliver his, like, villain dialogue with his, like, it's just like little baby voice.
Oh, yeah. That feels like something you would do as, like, an intentional joke. You have, like, you're like, oh, we're going to introduce him to Tiny. And then this super big guy shows up and you're like, why is he called Tiny? And then he says like a mouse cartoon voice and you're like, oh, that's why.
It's almost that. It's so close to like literally being that. But yeah, I don't even know. The second one tries to do this whole thing where the police are trying to like break up like a shoot fighting thing. And like, that's why they go and get Billy Zabka and his friends, because they're like, that business back in Mexico, right? Like, we need you guys.
So much business.
So much business.
So many forms filled out.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they need them. They're just like, we don't understand all this paperwork.
Yeah. These dates don't add up at all. You guys are getting audited.
So it's like this, like, that's like the setup for the second one, is they need them to like go undercover to like break up this like shoot fighting thing. And like, it's like hilarious how poorly executed everything is in that second movie. Like, Billy Zabka has like a new love interest in this one, who's just this woman who like barely has any dialogue. She has like 5 lines in the whole movie, and then she gets like killed unceremoniously, and it's just like, what is happening? What are we doing here? Like, and then that one also, like, Billy Zabka doesn't even like fight anybody in the end of that one. That one also ends with like Bolo Young like fighting this main bad guy dude. And it's the same thing. It's just like that fight ends and the credits start rolling immediately. It's like, we got to get out of there as fast as possible.
Again, that's what you do.
Yeah, but that was the one that literally ended with like a joke, because it was like the undercover cop guy who like recruited them. They had this like informant guy with them who kind of like, he was basically like Benny from The Mummy. He kept like double crossing them, you know? And like the literal end of the movie is like the cop guy making some kind of like pun at him and then like punching him, and that's when you get that like freeze frame Shoot Fighter 2, and that's the actual end of the movie.
Those are so lame. That never works. I feel like it's either, like we said, they don't want to budget filming any sort of like falling action after the movie peaks, or they know the movie kind of sucks and they're worried that like, well, maybe if we end on the highest note, it'll be like a recency bias, and they'll be like, I think it was exciting.
Yeah, it does feel like they're trying to trick the audience in that way. And yeah, maybe that was like in editing, they looked at what they're got and they're like, oh my God, this is terrible. We got to try and like punch this up somehow
That's exactly what it feels like. I wouldn't be surprised if they did film stuff, but they were like, it's, we got to keep the energy up. Cut back to those extras.
Those extras, man. Oh my God. There's just like, oh, there's that guy again. Yep. He doesn't know what's going on.
Guy again. He spilled ketchup on himself in between fights.
Yeah, it was especially funny in the first one that there was no falling action of any kind, because of Billy Zabka's love interest character, who had a big part in the first half of the movie, and then it's just completely absent from the second half.
I wonder if that I could see being that the original cut of the movie had a resolution, but they added this whole bit when they got Martin Kove signed on, and they added the whole new conclusion, and probably at that point we're like, we're out of money. We don't want to get these actors back out here. Let's just not even show it.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly what happened. And then again, the whole thing
with if he's there from the start, it's not that bad. Even the original Karate Kid ends pretty suddenly, but you get a moment where Ralph Macchio wins, and then his girlfriend runs up and gives him a hug. There's no dialogue, but they're at least physically there.
Yeah, and again, it's almost like a rule of threes thing with her, where it's like she keeps getting mad that people keep leaving for Mexico, and then there's just like no follow-up with her. So it's just like...
You know what we could have done? We could have had a scene at the end where Bolo and the two guys are getting on a plane and they're walking off at the airport, like back in America, and then we pan across and she's boarding a plane to Mexico. Like, she's like, dang it, if they're all in Mexico, I'm going too. And then, like, they don't see each other, and it's just like, uh-oh. Shootfighter 2.
Yes, that would have been amazing. That would have been way better. That would have been anything with her, really. Because she wasn't bad.
That's funny.
Yeah.
If we can't end on anything, we could end on a joke.
That's movies. If you got nothing, just end on a joke.
Just end on a joke. Doesn't matter what the movie was about or what the tone is. Okay, so just to reset the board and clarify, Frank was asked to watch Shootfighter 1 for the show.
Yep.
And he did. Shootfighter 2, technically, out of bounds. Can't factor into any scores. I wish I could give you credit for watching an extra movie, but unfortunately, no.
That's okay. I blame not myself.
Sling TV?
Anybody else. Yeah, Sling TV.
I mean, I thought this was you being a bit of a goof, but no, that is on Sling TV. If it showed you the correct title from the first movie, and the movie doesn't show you a title.
It was just a comedy of errors that led to, honestly, such a great, like, punchline, literally, at the end of...
Oh, that is a punchline. See? And that's something funny.
And that's something funny. All
And that's something funny. See, watch, we're going to do it right now. It's about time for us to head into our intermission. So, Frank, let's end on something really funny.
You always set me up. You always just like, now you be funny.
That's why it's funny to me. And there it is. Okay, coming back now from intermission, Frank, it's time for me to review the film that you selected, 1995's Fallen Angels. Do you recall why you asked me to review Fallen Angels?
I think I was looking at the director, who this was like one of his last big films that he filmed in China. And I remember, I don't know if I said this on air, but I know I said it to you at one point that I wanted us to just every now and again do some foreign films, just to mix it up, you know, and like broaden our horizons for the show.
Absolutely. I will say, I think this movie's going to expose me because it's a foreign film. It's a lot more of an experimental film. It's higher up on the scale of art film than anything we've talked about on the show before. And I think I sound a lot more competent talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme than talking about this stuff.
Well, we're going to find out.
We're going to find out when I have to talk about vague, ambiguous, really visual storytelling and make it make sense to the listener and kind of summarize what it's about.
Good luck, everybody.
Good luck. If the audio just stops here, it's because I failed. So you were spot on. The director for this, some people might recognize the name Kar-Wai, who I think his most famous movie is In the Mood for Love, which is just an extremely well-regarded Chinese like romantic drama from, I think that one might be from 2000, so after this one. He also directed a film called Chungking Express the year before Fallen Angels. And this is what I wanted to mention off the bat. You were talking about the unintended duology of having to watch both Shootfighters. This movie that you asked me to watch, Fallen Angels, is in many ways part of a duology with Chungking Express, which came out the year before, and I did not actually see that one. So it kind of feels like I watched the second half of something. You know what I mean?
Oh, see, I was under the impression it was like thematically similar, but are you saying that they're like actually narratively related?
It's thematically similar is the main thing, but they're so connected in what they were about. I looked at the IMDb trivia when I was done watching it, because Chungking Express is a movie I've wanted to see for a while. For a long time, it wasn't streaming anywhere in the US, and I couldn't find it at the library, so I didn't see it. And after finishing this one, Fallen Angels, I looked at the IMDb, and it was explaining that part of the story for this movie was originally part of the plot for Chungking Express. It was like one of the vignettes covered in that film, and then they felt they didn't need it to finish that movie, and so they just expanded on this idea to make another movie. Does that make sense?
Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
There's also multiple of the same actors are in it. One of the actors is playing two different characters, but they have the same name, and there's like allusions to what the other one did in each film. There's also, I think the director even said that he considers it kind of like a connected idea, because most of the imagery in Chungking Express from 94 is a lot of like outdoor daytime stuff, whereas every single frame of Fallen Angels takes place at night. So it's kind of like a two halves of a whole. And I think that one of the things I want to talk about is that I really might like Fallen Angels more if I'd seen the other thing first, because I think the balancing act of that would make each one better, you know, like more than the sum of their parts. Not to say I disliked Fallen Angels, but as soon as I read that, I was like, dang it, probably should have watched that other one.
Yeah, I could see. Well, I didn't realize they were so closely related. Like, that seems, they're very, like, literally like a day and night thing between these two movies.
It's a day and night thing that tackles similar themes and was made one after another. It's like 94, 95. So again, it's not advertised as such, and they are supposed to be standalone stories, but I just found those connections really interesting. And ironically, my wife has seen Chungking Express and not this one, and now I've seen this one and not that one, and I was like, maybe by talking about it, we can kind of figure out, and I'm like, nope, never mind. These movies are way too visual. I would just need to watch it.
I was going to say, you guys could do an episode of Double Feature.
That would be funny. Yeah, trying to watch like both halves of the duology. But to focus back in on Fallen Angels, I just wanted to start with that to put a button on the comment I made earlier when you were talking about the double feature thing with Shootfighter.
Yeah.
But what you do get with Fallen Angels, it is a story about the lives of 5 or 6 characters who basically live their lives at night in Hong Kong. And it tackles a lot of themes related to like social isolation and people trying to make meaning in their lives when they feel that there is none. It's about like love and obsession and lost connections and all the kind of things you get from a fancy art movie that I have to pretend I understand.
You keep downplaying your
I'm gonna try. I just listen. There's somebody's gonna come in here. We're gonna get our comment on this video, and they're gonna be like, "Clearly, you misunderstood the point." And I'm like, "Yeah, I agree." So
I mean, that's the thing about art, though, right? It's interpretive.
My interpretation is valid, but maybe I'm not. So I only want to preface all this because if you hear the description of the movie and you feel like you don't really get it, it's because it really is something that is meant to be viewed. Like, for example, most of the characters don't have like clear names. Like some of them say their name once or have like a nickname to reference them. They don't really address each other by name at all. There's a ton of like mid-90s visual techniques and editing choices that make the whole thing very trippy. Not like unintelligibly so, but to the point where I can't really convey exactly the feel of the movie unless you like watch a trailer or something and then listen to this. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. So this'll test your descriptive abilities.
That's kind of what I'm coming around to. Is like, how do I explain the movie when I literally, in my notes, was writing down pretty much every single thing that happened because I wasn't sure which parts were important until later.
It's like a puzzle. You gotta put the pieces together.
I also, like, usually I'll just write notes alongside the first time I see the movie just to kind of like make sure I'm like latching onto any ideas and they don't escape me. But I often use character names, and I swear some of the character names I had to use were like Hitman Guy, Crazy Lady, Other Crazy Lady.
Crazy Lady 2.
Crazy Lady 2, the crazening. And Crazy Man.
Oh, it's a whole family.
So I'm going to try to explain, because the movie has essentially 2 main plots that do intersect, but only very briefly. So most of the movie, they're kind of separate ideas. The first plot is that 2 of your characters, who I would call this maybe the A story, is a duo that works together to arrange professional like hits. Like the guy is a hitman, he carries out the murders, and this woman is essentially his handler. She arranges everything, she tells him where to go and what to do. She sort of like cleans up scenes after him. She's always arranging like the hideout spaces that he's going to use. And you get some voiceover narration from each of these characters throughout the film, kind of just pontificating about their life and their role in it and the nature of their partnership. Because the thing that's clear right away is that these 2 don't communicate very well. They rarely see each other, but they both have this like mild obsession with each other. Like the woman is deeply obsessed with this man. She like digs through his trash and like looks at all of his stuff, but he also has feelings developing for her, and he's worried that it's going to threaten their working relationship. So his big inciting action in the movie is that he tries to end their hitman business by essentially ghosting this person.
Oh, wait, what? But he likes her, but he's just gonna ghost her now? Like,
Essentially, it's the classic, like, I don't know how to communicate, and I think this is getting too complicated, so it's all done so vaguely. Like, the opening shot of the movie is a snippet of a scene that you don't actually get until much later in the movie. And we open with these very strange angles. Like, visually, every shot in the movie, the camera is like inside this person's personal space. You know what I mean? It's so up close and at odd angles, and they use super wide lenses. Like, not like a little fisheye lens, but not terribly far removed from that. So it's made to be very, like, unsettling and kind of jarring right away. And we just open on this close-up of this one woman smoking and, like, her hands all shaking, and she's trying to talk to this guy while he explains, like, we've been working together a long time, but I think we're too emotionally invested, and I gotta break it off now. And then we don't hear the resolution to that until much later in the story, because we go backwards in time after that.
got it. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I mean, that's a, like, fun way to open the film, though.
It's very visually interesting. It's also very snappy at times. Like, that scene hard cuts to a shot of the woman walking up out of this, like, empty subway. The title card for the movie, which shows up at the beginning, believe it or not, is on screen for like half a second. It's like, boom, Fallen Angels, short music sting, and we're out. Like, there's a lot of intentionally jarring editing choices, but at the same time, the movie will occasionally slow down and play these kind of like jazzy music, and the whole thing feels like a rumination on like the chase that people go through trying to find what the movie often refers to as like the right partner in their life. And mostly that's romantic partners, but in the case of these other two, they were business partners. They had a working relationship that their emotions were complicating. So it's very classic East Asian reflective kind of filmmaking. It's something you see a lot in films made in China or Japan. The whole thing is very like mellow and kind of sad.
Well, I mean, because I've seen In the Mood for Love, and this is already starting to sound similar, like stylistically or tonally.
Tonally, yes. I think the main thing that's different is that In the Mood for Love, I've seen that one as well, is shot in what I would call a more like traditional kind of like Western filmmaking style. The camera is usually grounded. There's still a lot of close-up shots to like sell that these people feel kind of constrained in their lives, but Fallen Angels is like mostly handheld cameras that are kind of tracking around and following these people. So it's a lot more like dreamlike and kind of hazy in its camera movement.
I mean, like, I kind of like that, though. I mean, obviously I haven't seen this film, but I like sort of like experimental filmmaking. So maybe I would have enjoyed this movie more than you, actually.
I don't mean to say any of this off the bat as like, I didn't like this. I just want to give a clear impression, as clear as I can, about what made this film unique. I mean, even the cover art on IMDb, there is a pull quote from a reviewer that says, like, Kar-Wai, breaks every rule of filmmaking and, like, to great success. There is a very strange, like, experimental quality to it. I mean, there's frames in the movie that will suddenly be, like, partially in black and white, like certain portions of the frame are in color and certain ones aren't, or individual objects are in color. Even that opening shot of the close-up of the woman smoking with the other guy framed behind her, they're all in black and white, except that, like, you can see the red of like her lipstick and her fingernails and like the cigarette. So there's just a lot going on.
That's cool. And that's really difficult to pull off too. Cause like, it's the kind of thing where, I've heard it said you have to understand the rules before you can break them. So, cause otherwise, this would just like look like a mess of mistakes and contradictions.
It'd be incoherent.
Yeah. So it's actually very difficult, I think, to be able to pull that off in a way that has intentionality behind it.
I agree. And I do think that despite all of these things, those elements like the camera movement and the colorization and all that, that doesn't really disorient. Like, those are just odd little choices. The thing that at times makes the movie kind of hard to follow is just the overall ambiguity and the strangeness of all these characters. I think one of the guys from like the B plot has a line near the beginning where he says something to the effect of like, the people you find out on the street at night are all kind of crazy. And that's who all these people are.
I also kind of like that it's all at night. I mean, is it literally like every scene of the film is nighttime?
Yeah. No, I don't. Every single frame of the movie is dark and lit by, cigarettes and neon streetlights. And it's very visually interesting. And on top of that, the space that all these people live in, it's these terrible tiny little apartments or hotel rooms, like super boxed in, reflecting the kind of just like simmering tension of people living in that place at that time.
Yeah, I mean, this all sounds great, actually. Like, it sounds like it's
interesting.
really using, I mean, film's a visual medium. And so this is like kind of pushing that to its natural limits, I think.
It is. I do think all these elements are interesting. Also, to kind of place it at a point in time, the lighting in the movie kind of tries to use the same like sickly green that they used in the Matrix. Does that kind of make sense?
Ooh, okay. Yes. I don't know if I love that, though.
It's not the whole thing, but there's a number of individual scenes that have that kind of like washed out green lighting over the whole thing. Again, it's supposed to be kind of uneasy. These people are all very strange and they're living strange lives and none of them are happy because they haven't found the right person to go through their life with, and they're all kind of adrift because of that. They're trying to form connections and they're dealing with like terrible relationships with people who aren't right for them because they're so desperate to just have someone else validate that they exist. You know what I mean? That's so much of the language in the movie is, will you remember that I was ever here?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that also seems to tie in with the fact that it's all at nighttime as well. Like, that's usually the time that people are like the most reflective. And also, if these people are only operating at night, then they're not being seen by everyone else during the day.
Exactly. And we really do have very few characters. I think there's like 6 characters and almost nobody else in the movie has any dialogue. I guess to set up the other half of the story, which really, and again, this is a criticism, ends up being more than half of the story. It goes to this other plot. So we have the hitman guy, that's plot A. The other one is about this guy who introduces himself through a voiceover. He says his name at one point, but I started calling him Crazy Man.
Okay.
Crazy Man explains that when he was a kid, because they often end up talking about their childhoods here, he says that when he was a kid, he loved to talk, but then he, quote, ate an expired can of pineapple and lost the ability to speak. So for the whole movie, he never says anything out loud, even though we're hearing from him in voiceover.
I'm sorry, he ate an expired can of pineapple?
Correct.
This is just like Soldier. This is like the kid from Soldier that couldn't speak because he got bit by a snake.
It is kind of like Soldier. That's a point in its favor. So he says this, and this is the connection to Chungking Express. That actor is a different character in Chungking Express who is always worried about the expiration dates on food. And specifically, he's like looking at a can of pineapple and is worried about eating it because of the expiration date.
Wow, that's so interesting.
So it's very specific, even though those aren't the same person, but they're played by the same actor and have the same name.
Yes, but yeah, it's like a meta narrative there. That's fun.
Yes.
I'm seeing now why these are kind of a duology.
Exactly. The connections are very strong. I find Crazy Man to be an interesting part of the movie, but the one that maybe frustrates me the most because he takes up so much screen time for what feels like a very easy to understand bit that doesn't need this much time spent on it. His main thing when the movie opens, you're hearing from him, and he's this like super unreliable narrator because he's clearly a bit not all there, and he's always explaining his version of events, but you're visually seeing what's actually happening. Because the first thing he explains is, because I never learned how to speak or lost the ability to, I had trouble making friends, I had trouble holding a job, and so I live my life at night, running other people's businesses in the nighttime when they're closed. And so we just see that he is like broken into somebody's business and is like messing with their stuff. He'll randomly go around, like he grabs a pair of scissors and starts trying to aggressively cut people's hair who haven't asked him to. And then eventually they just have to pay him to stop cutting their hair.
Oh, okay. So he's, yeah.
This guy's a lot. He's completely not understanding what other people are saying to him, but he still has these very like coherent personal narrations about what's happening. You just always are being shown visually that it's not what he's saying. And his whole story, again, a lot of it's supposed to be this very dry comedy, but it goes on for so long. There's this really long scene where this guy walks up to an ice cream truck, sees the Crazy Man is inside the ice cream truck, and he's like, oh no, this guy again. And so Crazy Man like grabs him by the collar and drags him into the ice cream truck and just starts making ice cream cones and feeding them to this guy over and over again. And he won't let him leave. He's like, keeps forcing him to eat more ice cream. And so the guy ends up calling his wife, and who's clearly wondering where he is. And you hear his side of the conversation where he's like, yeah, it's that guy again. He's not going to let me go. He just keeps feeding me ice cream. I know you don't believe me, but, come see for yourself if you don't. And then we cut to, like, for some reason, the guy's wife brought, like, their entire extended family. And so now we have a scene where the crazy man is feeding, like, 6 people ice cream that they don't want.
How is he holding them all there? Like,
they show you a couple instances where people are trying to physically escape him, and he just, like, is too tenacious and they can't get away. And then it becomes this, like, sort of resigned thing. And that's part of the joke, is that they just can't get away from this guy because he's so persistent about it. And then that scene goes on way too long. It's not very funny. I mean, like, some of it is maybe lost in translation, like the timing of the dialogue that would maybe get a laugh. But then that also transitions into an interesting shot where we cut to crazy guy driving the truck at night, and the interior in the back is all lit up because all the people are still sitting back there, and he's just like driving through the streets, and there's some interesting cinematography going on. And that moment's like actually kind of pretty. But it is supposed to be contrasted with this super bizarre scene that we saw right before it, where like the family's actually kind of happy at the end. Like they're all having a good time eating the ice cream by the end of it.
Well, I mean, when you describe it, it sounds funny.
But it just, I don't know. For me, none of it landed as funny because the joke is so obvious, and it's mostly supposed to be funny because they don't let up. Like the bit just keeps going. And he runs into this same guy like several times and is always doing stuff to him, like trying to cut his hair or feed him ice cream.
Yeah.
And it just takes up so much time. And while watching the movie, before I knew about the connection to Chungking Express, I was like, this B-plot is like 75% of the movie, and it should have been the other way around. We do not get enough time with the hitman and his partner, and their story feels like if you told just that part of it, it'd be a short film. And then when I read that part was what was originally going to be a portion of the story of the previous movie, Chungking Express, I was like, this lines up for me, because I feel like this movie, Fallen Angels, is stretched too thin. It didn't have enough in it to cover a full story.
Yeah, because I thought the idea was they took this small concept and expanded it into a feature length, but it seems like they just took what was going to be a small piece of another film and made it a small piece of this film.
Feels like it. I mean, I don't know for certain that the Hitman story is the one that was part of Chungking originally, but I would assume so because that is framed as like the A plot. And again, we do get very brief crossover of these two stories because Crazy Man's whole thing ends up being that he finds this similarly crazy lady number one, and has a sort of like relationship with her, even though they can't really communicate. Like, none of these characters know how to say anything. They never look at each other in the eyes. They never speak directly to each other. There's so much key information exchanged like over the phone or through these abstract means. It's people who are too caught up in their like small internal bubbles to actually reach out and make a connection. But we do get some crossover where like I think the hitman guy briefly has a scene with the crazy guy where he just talks to him for a minute and then they go their separate ways. And then at the very, very end of the story, we see a crossover between the hitman partner lady from the A story meets the crazy guy again, and they have a thing at the end. But again, I don't know, like the movie's pacing loses me by the middle of it.
This is reminding me of like, especially with comedy, there's a thing where like some types of movies will perform better in other countries, like if it's made here, for example, and then screened in another country. It's stuff that is more universal, like horror or action, I guess. But comedy is always very subjective and like especially like might have some like cultural connotation too. Because this is reminding me of like I just watched this Jackie Chan movie Miracles, which is a great movie, but this is a common thing I always run into with a lot of Jackie Chan's old films that he made in China, where it was like in this movie, it was like some of the best like on-screen like action choreography I've ever seen. And then it would go for that to like 45 uninterrupted minutes of these comedy gags that like didn't land, because it's like some of it was kind of humorous, but it's like, oh my God, this is so much of the movie is this. And I'm not like engaging with this, I feel like in the way that it's intended to be engaged with.
Yeah, the comedic timing is so different. Like, I understand that some of the stuff in Fallen Angels is supposed to be funny because we keep coming back to it so much or because we just don't ever let go of this one idea. And I can understand why that's maybe amusing, but in the moment of watching it, the movie kind of starts to drag by the second half, and that carries through until almost the end, where it picks up again in the last, like, 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, because you said that B plot takes up more of the film than the A plot.
Way more. Like the story about the hitman is super brief for the most part. He performs a couple of hits, which are shot interestingly. Like it almost feels like almost like John Woo style, but it like not exactly the same. You have these kind of slow motion shots of him with his dual pistols, like shooting all these people up. And it kind of does the effect of using like almost like a slower frame rate, kind of slow motion. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, for sure.
So that styling is like, it's not literally what John Woo was doing, but it felt almost like inspired by that kind of thing and modified from that. And those scenes take place, and then we learn that he doesn't want to do this job anymore because he wants to. He originally took it on because he was like, I just like being told where to go and what to do. I don't like having to make these choices for myself. But then he starts to grapple with that, and he wants to have more agency in what he does with himself. So he breaks it off by telling the woman he works with to listen to some song on a jukebox that'll explain everything, and then just leaves. And he never says anything to her, and she gets all increasingly obsessed about this and is trying to track him down. The hitman then has another short relationship with Crazy Lady number 2, whose whole thing is essentially that she just approaches this guy and immediately tries to like win him over and be like, hey, come back to my place, come up to my place. And then she reveals that they already had some sort of a fling in the past, and she's convinced that he just completely forgot who she is. She's like, I changed my hair, and I bet that you don't even remember that it's me now, do you? And he says that he does, but he clearly doesn't. And so she's kind of going through a similar bit of anguish where she just thinks that nobody sees her, and she's not real because she doesn't have somebody there to kind of validate that she exists. And then those two women cross paths and set up a meeting where the hitman and his old partner finally get to speak. That's what we see at the beginning of the movie. And then his partner, I think in a fit of like jealousy, asks him to do one final job for her, and turns it into a setup so that he gets killed.
Oh, she intentionally got him killed.
Yeah, she sends him in to do a hit, and then all of these other people show up, and it clearly is like, and it almost is played that like he knew this was going to happen. And so he just comes to terms with the fact that he thought he was still searching for the real partner that he needed in his life. And he thought that if he could find them, that might really complete things for him. And he's thinking through his voiceover, like, I wonder who that person would be. And then we just see that he doesn't get to find out because he gets killed. And then the tail end of the movie is that woman who betrayed him, the original partner, she's adamant now that like, she's like, I don't make these emotional connections anymore. I'm still doing the same work, but I try to keep it all really distant. But then she crosses paths with Crazy Man, and then they like ride off together to end the movie. And she has a short but kind of monologue where she's like, once again, I'm chasing something that's like gonna end poorly and is not good for me, but it's nice to feel like this warmth while it lasts.
Oh, well, Crazy Man being the ice cream guy.
Ice cream guy, yep.
Yeah. Wow. See, this feels like a very like somber, contemplative, emotional film mixed with some dark comedy.
The ice cream stuff. Yep.
Yeah,
yeah. It's supposed to be dark because this guy's clearly all messed up. Crazy Man has a lot of problems. You feel sorry for him, but they just try to use these weird beats to show how eccentric he is.
Yeah.
And another interesting element you get for him is that he has this whole relationship earlier in the story with Crazy Lady number 1, who, again, is like herself obsessed with some man who doesn't want her and is behaving like a genuinely like manic person. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, crazy lady. Like, she's insane.
Oh, yeah.
But she leaves the story. And then at the end, one of the last scenes we get with Crazy Guy, he sees her again. But she has a boyfriend now and is like a totally normal person and doesn't even recognize him. Like, she's dressed as like a flight attendant and she isn't behaving strangely anymore at all. And she's just like a totally functioning adult now. And there's something there about like how lost these people feel when they don't have someone to go through their life with, and how kind of crazy it makes them and how it drives them to make all these bad decisions. But they show you by contrast that someone who has found like a real partner can kind of pull everything together.
Oh, that's really, huh.
Yeah, that's really, is about my review of Fallen Angels. Like, I can't assail this movie for anything. Like, it's really well made. It's clearly made with a lot of intention. Everything that Kar-Wai wanted this to be, it is. And it gets a lot of credit for being really unique. But any given person's experience with the film is basically like, how in the mood for you are this right now?
How in the mood for love are you for this?
For this currently, and does it connect with you at all?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it almost sounds like a. It's funny when you were mentioning the guys like that doesn't speak, but you hear his monologues. It's making me think of like Rorschach from Watchmen.
Yeah.
And this movie, the way he described it, almost sounds like a Rorschach test of like, what do you see when you watch Fallen
That's
Angels?
what I said. I was talking to my wife about it because again, she has seen Chungking Express and was like, as she heard me talk about this, she was like, "Oh, they're the same." Like she was the one who clued me in. Like these are very much the same kind of story. And I said to her, I was like, "It's like asking someone to review a kaleidoscope. It's like, I mean, I don't just look at it. Like I can't.
Did you see?
like
Did you see that blue though?
Yeah. Did you see the part where it was like a prismatic illusion? Like, it's not. All I could say is like Fallen Angels. Here it is. Like I normally my view of the film kind of lines up with whether I'd recommend it to someone else or recommend it back to you. But with this one, it's so personal. I think whether anyone would glean anything specific from it. The things it gets credit for are for being really uniquely made and well shot and well directed. As far as whether the story is boring or not, that's totally going to vary person to person.
Yeah, and I mean, I've maybe said this on the show before, but I try and avoid describing a film as boring because I feel like it's like a reductive type of analysis, especially for a film like this too. But that's undoubtedly how people are going to react to certain films.
Yeah, some people find martial arts movies boring.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's just
those people are wrong and stupid.
Yeah, wrong and stupid, as it turns out.
As it turns out, the results are in. You're an idiot.
If you didn't interpret Shootfighter the way I interpreted Shootfighter, what's wrong with you? Maybe look in the mirror, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, that legitimately, you've reminded me of something else. So visually, Fallen Angels, huge amount of the movie deals in reflections. Like I mentioned that a lot of the characters genuinely don't make eye contact when they speak to each other. It's that kind of artful arrangement where someone's like staring down the camera and someone else is in profile. And we also see a ton of imagery shot through mirrors and camera lenses and other reflections, which I just thought was really interesting, like visual motif. So many of the shots there'll be a person framed in a reflection, but the camera views them through the reflection instead of just in the space.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of stuff, like, that's actually great, because, and that ties into what kind of where I was going to with, like, describing the film, or, like, in terms of, like, recommending it to somebody, because, like, my personal philosophy, even, like, when we were making our own film, too, is, like, I was always pushing for more, like, visual, experimental things, and like not so much caring how the audience would feel, like in terms of like if they would resonate with that or not. Just because that's to me is like one of the biggest strengths of the medium of filmmaking.
Yeah, I feel like art as meaning is supposed to be kind of challenging. If a movie does not challenge your thinking or your emotions at all, aka maybe Shootfighter, fight to the death, it can be entertainment, but it's not necessarily going to move you in any specific way. Whereas, despite my experience watching Fallen Angels being kind of conflicted of like, I don't really think I'm resonating strongly with this, I'm going to remember that movie forever. Like, I will be able to recall the strangeness of it. And I think that in that moment of conflict with what the movie is showing you and trying to make sense of it, you can glean your own meaning from it. So that's when the movie works best, is when it is almost at odds with you. It's not making things easy to understand and is asking you to kind of meet it halfway. And that can be great. But again, it's such a mood-based thing. Sometimes I really want that, and sometimes I want to watch Shootfighter.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Because I remember, this might have been back in film school, honestly, but I'd heard it said that it's like entertainment is meant to reinforce the ideas you already have, and art is meant to challenge your way of thinking, and films are both. And so it's like those two things are like inherently contradicting to each other, but great films still somehow manage to be both, so that seems to be the case primarily so here with Fallen Angels, where it's like it's almost like you said, like, I feel like somebody who like was really feeling isolated or lonely would watch this film and respond to it in a completely different way.
Yeah, I think they might really get something out of watching it. I mean, I remember being a pretty lonely, teenager finishing up high school and being kind of personally isolated and attaching to a lot of movies that were about this sort of thing. And I think I'd have the same trouble going back to those as I had watching this for the first time, where I'm like, I get what's happening here. I appreciate what you're doing. It's not really at the speed that I'm at currently, and so it doesn't really land as strongly.
Although the way you just described the conclusion sounds a little almost like, well, you know what would fix your problems? Just don't be lonely anymore. Just go find someone. Like, it's like...
Yeah, but these people are also all going about it. It's challenging them for going about it the wrong way. They are all defined by their own inability or refusal to communicate how they feel. The interactions between crazy man and crazy woman number one are defined by the fact that, like, they're never really talking to each other. They're not really together. They just spend time around each other and they don't communicate clearly at all. And the main couple, I guess, the A story group, they refuse to communicate how they feel and, like, push each other away. And for the hitman, that ends poorly because the woman, when spurned, like, chooses to get him killed because she can't handle him being separated from her. And then he essentially, again, refuses to make his intentions clear and just won't pursue the feelings that he has. So it puts all of this blame back on the characters, but does also frame the alternative. Is like, you would all be much more normal if you could just get your act together.
Well, because I was thinking of the one character you mentioned. You said she became like a flight attendant at the end once she was in a stable relationship. I don't know. I guess that was just maybe the resolution for that one character.
We also don't know, I mean, given how the rest of the story is framed, we don't know that that's actually the same person necessarily. I think it's the same actor. And the crazy guy says it's her, but he might just still be tilting at windmills about it and, like, just seeing her as other people. But his impression is that she, like, found someone and now is behaving totally normally again.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then, I'm sorry, I got my crazy ladies mixed up. So Ice Cream Man and Crazy Lady 1 or 2 brought off together at the end?
Ice Cream Man is with Crazy Lady number 1. Crazy Lady number 2 is the short-haired woman who had a previous fling with the hitman and is, like, devastated that he doesn't seem to remember she existed.
And which one becomes the flight attendant? The one that he ran off with?
Crazy Lady number 1.
Oh, so they don't stay together. That film doesn't end with them together.
No.
Okay.
We actually end the movie with the start of a new relationship between Crazy Man and the hitman's partner woman.
Oh, gosh. So
again, the
trading partners.
The A and the B plot don't come together until the very end, essentially. Like, there's some brief interactions between the characters in both stories, but it resolves that way at the end. And then Crazy Lady number 1 becomes the flight attendant. So, like, some of the characters end on a higher note, and Hitman is very dead.
Well, and
I'm so annoyed that I don't know these people's names. I know they all got a name at some point, at least a first name, but it wouldn't have been any less confusing me trying to use those than just call him Crazy Man, Crazy Lady.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. I don't mind.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I have anything else for Fallen Angels. Any pending questions from you?
I mean, it's a hard one to, like, follow up on because I think, like you said, it's very, like, it to me sounds like the type of film I would really appreciate from, like, a filmmaking perspective, you know?
Yeah, totally.
But I'm also with you in the sense that it's like I gotta be in the right mood or mentality to sit down and watch a film that is going to be challenging in some way. You know, that is not just going to be your sort of standard entertainment that you're familiar with.
Exactly. So hopefully, I'm going to give the movie a score that's going to be based on how I felt about it.
Well, you have to.
But in terms of the... yeah, exactly. We are contractually obligated to do something we normally don't like doing, just ranking things out of 10. But the real takeaway is you kind of have to see for yourself. If you've seen Chungking Express, definitely watch this one. They're really, really deeply connected films. Even if you've seen In the Mood for Love or something, or just like other films in this ballpark and you liked them, Fallen Angels is a great movie. But if you're more like me and are not really up to this kind of speed right now, watch Shootfighter 2, or 1.
Not two. Not two.
Yeah, no, not two. Not two. All right, Frank, I think we can roll right from there into final scores. You're going to be up first. What are your closing thoughts and scores for Shootfighter 1, not 2?
Not 2.
I mean, you can give 2 a score if you want, but it's not going to count for anything.
No, yeah, that would just be for funsies. I guess I should have thought about this before we got to this point, huh?
Aw, man. Dude, I never knew this was going to happen.
This is tough. I'm trying not to conflate the two films in my head and just stick to the first one. I honestly, just like a gut feeling, I want to give Shootfighter a 9 out of 10.
A 9? Oh my gosh.
I just, in terms of like, I guess just the premise of the show, like if you had just seen this movie or whatever and like recommended it to me, I'd be like, yeah, no, that slaps. You're right. Like, Shootfighter, fight to the death.
GG.
Like,
they shoot it, they fight it, all right? I saw it.
Yeah, exactly. It was all there. Mexico, business, you get it.
Mexico business. I do want to make the like full-blown comedy version of Shootfighter though, because I feel like we really could have filled the gaps in that with some good slapstick humor.
I mean, it made me laugh out loud at several points. The I'm Magic Johnson, that's gonna stick with me. That's
I can't with the I'm Magic Johnson. This is not a basketball movie.
It's just so unprompted. And clearly ADR too, that they just threw over the scene. I was just like, yes, no notes. You are Magic Johnson.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, like
a 9. Gosh.
It just like, I don't know. It's like you look at it and it's kind of almost like you said about Fallen Angels. It's like, I think it knew what it wanted to be. It did that. And I agree.
I agree. Yeah, it's a shameless coming together of popular action karate movie concepts with actors people would know. I mean, really, if you told someone in 1993, you're like, hey, you want to watch the bad guy from Bloodsport fight the bad guy from Karate Kid? And then they actually do?
Yes.
You'd be like, yeah.
It has
mission fulfilled.
Right. It has the exact same appeal as Cobra Kai, where it's like no one would ever accuse Cobra Kai of being an amazing television show, but it's great nonetheless, you know? Like it's
great for people who like that kind of thing. That's maybe the similarity between the two movies today. Like if you are a fan of this kind of filmmaking, here's one for you.
Yeah, because I honestly like. I mean, I don't know what you're going to score Fallen Angels, but I feel like I would score Fallen Angels really high too. Like, given the type of film that it is, I would. But you tell me, buddy. Tell me.
Oh gosh, I'm torn. So when I finish the movie, because we've said before that the review score comes after the conversation about it, because that can change how you feel. I finished watching Fallen Angels a couple days ago. And I think at the time I said it was a 6 because as much as I liked what it was doing, the movie did leave me feeling kind of bored, and I was almost frustrated that we didn't get more development with the A plot and ended up with so much of that B plot, considering the part we got less of was much more interesting. But this is definitely a movie that you ruminate on over time, and your opinion immediately softens. Like right away, I'm like, a 6? Come on, you could do better than that. And I'm like, even though it was my score.
Yeah. What about all the ice cream?
Yeah, what about all that ice cream? Oh my God, the ice cream scene was shorter. Maybe I could rate it higher. I don't know. I'm torn between a 6 and an 8 because 7s aren't real. Nothing's a 7.
I mean, you can give it a 7 if you wanted, but yeah.
No, it's not a real 7. A 7 out of 10 is I have nothing to say about this movie. That's what we decided a 7 out of 10
Just
is.
stare blankly at the microphone and don't say anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Just 90-minute upload of like light breathing. I don't know. I guess I could give Fallen Angels an 8 because, again, while watching it, I had conflicted feelings about it. But as soon as the movie's done and it's just a memory in my head, it feels a lot better.
And I honestly feel like that's one of the strengths of a film like that. Because if you watch it like something that is shot more traditionally, especially shot traditionally as like standard American filmmaking, Like,
Yeah.
you're so used to that your brain's just going to kind of filter that out very quickly. But like something like this, where it uses those interesting visual and like storytelling elements, that is going to stick with you longer, just inherently, just because it's something your brain's not as familiar with.
That's exactly why I want to give Fallen Angels a higher score, because we talked about how that conflict is productive, to be approached by something in an art form you're used to watching really easy movies in, and be given something a lot harder to digest is meaningful. And I'm going to remember that so much more than a lot of other movies that I would say at the time felt easier to get through. And I think it would be genuinely unfair to write off Fallen Angels, considering I did have a lot to say about it. I talked about it for like 40 minutes.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's an 8 out of 10 for Fallen Angels, a 9 out of 10. Unbelievable for Shootfighter Fight to the Death.
Why not?
This show is just a couple of hacks talking about these two movies as being anywhere in the same ballpark. This also means that I, for the 5th episode in a row, have won Meet Your Double Feature. Like, okay, just to recap. So when this show started, our first episode, our scores were pretty similar. Second episode, total bomb went off where I gave your pick an 8 and you gave mine a 3. So I was in the hole for a while. I spent some time crawling back out of there, and now I'm just pulled pretty far ahead. The difference is now pretty much the same, but in the opposite direction, where you, in season 1 overall, your movies have scored a cumulative total of like 6 points fewer than mine.
Yeah, you just like don't get it, man. Like
I just don't get it. Yeah. Like if you liked it more and you weren't so stupid, then maybe you'd say the right numbers.
Yeah, just like what are you doing? Like,
all right. I just want to give that context again, because we're in the second half of season 1. We're planning on doing 12 episodes. If we don't face any production delays, I think the end of season 1 will be basically the end of this calendar year. So stay tuned for the rest of 2025. Frank has some room to make up. And with that in mind, why don't we get into our picks for next time?
Yeah, am I going first?
I was just about to ask. Okay, sorry. So per the rules of the game, whoever gets a higher score in the episode gets to pick their next movie first. And we forget about that every single time we record. So as much as I was about to be nice and be like, no, you go first, not allowed. So I believe, I could be wrong. So when episode 8, our next episode releases, it'll probably be the day before Halloween. And so with that in mind, I gave Frank the tip off to maybe select kind of a spooky Halloween season film, and I did the same. So Frank, your next movie is 1995's The Prophecy.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
No.
Right.
Just kidding.
Bye.
Yeah, see you later. No. So The Prophecy, I've been picking movies a lot lately based on who's in them, because I think that's the easiest way to gauge, like, oh, is Frank gonna like this if I give him a movie with so-and-so in it? And this is one of the weirdest combinations yet. So The Prophecy, first off, is marketed as like every genre imaginable. It's like an action, fantasy, horror, mystery film.
Wow, that's a lot.
The main character is played by Christopher Walken, but in the rest of the cast, we have Elias Koteas, who a lot of people would know as Casey Jones from the 90s live-action Ninja Turtles movies, and Viggo Mortensen, a.k.a. Aragorn from Lord of the Rings.
Together at last, you know?
Together at last. Every time I watch Ninja Turtles, I think, what if Aragorn, son of Arathorn, were here?
I think that about most movies,
pick.
Actually, but...
Yeah, exactly. 1995's The Prophecy. That'll be for next time for what is essentially our Halloween episode.
Okay, cool. What year was that one?
1995.
95. All right, great. Cool. Do you want one? Or should we just...
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. I mean, I could go watch Shootfighter 2 or 3 or something.
Oh, Shootfighter 5. No.
Shootfighter.
They're not that clever. Don't give them that
They're
much.
Not, no, yeah. It's not. They don't know how.
Your movie, if you want to watch it.
If you want, if you have time.
If you're not busy. Is 1999 Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, interesting. I'm familiar with this movie. I haven't seen it.
Okay, good. I was like, this one is verging on pretty like mainstream, so I was wondering if this is one you hadn't seen before.
Because this is Johnny Depp is in it, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. This will be funny. I'm gonna show some vulnerability here. I, historically, am kind of a wimp about scary movies. For some reason, even if I watch the movie and I don't feel scared, it just like gives me nightmares sometimes if there's a movie with like particularly upsetting imagery in it. And I think I once was debating watching Sleepy Hollow with my wife, and she was like looking at the IMDb Parents Guide, and she was like, I think this is too much for you.
Oh, because of Johnny Depp. You're just like...
Because of Johnny Depp, yeah. Ah, man, Woody Allen, Johnny Depp, who else we got? They're going to be like, next time, Bill Cosby stars. All these problematic men.
Yeah, no, that's... like you said, it's a
I'm gonna
Halloween
watch it.
episode. It's a
Halloween
episode.
Also, I genuinely don't think it's going to be that bad at all.
No, it's Tim Burton. Like,
it's Tim Burton.
Although,
what's the worst that could happen?
I do remember when I was younger and I saw Edward Scissorhands. That movie kind of creeped me out a bit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we'll see. I mean, again, It's a spooky season episode. If I come back in like a cold sweat and I'm like, so I watched Sleepy Hollow and I freaked out.
And did you say, because the lead of the movie you recommended is Christopher Walken, you said?
Yeah.
Because he's in this as well. So.
Oh, cool. Tune in 2 weeks for a Christopher Walken double feature.
Maybe scary.
Maybe scary, but not too scary, or else you'll never hear from me again, because I'll be under my bed.
Forever.
The prophecy. Thank you for listening to our show. As always, if you enjoyed tonight's episode, please consider giving it a like, giving our show a review, recommending it to a friend, all the usual stuff. You can also find us on Instagram at Meet Your Double Feature or follow us on Blue Sky at MYDFpod. The other big announcement for tonight is that Meet Your Double Feature now has its own website. You can visit us at meetyourdoublefeature.com, spelled in full just like the show. In order to listen to full episodes, you can read some written movie review blogs based on films we covered on the show. There's going to be some more additional content landing there as well, and it's just a great place to find links on whatever platform you choose to listen to. So again, that's meetyourdoublefeature.com if you want to follow us and learn more. That's all for now. We'll be back in 2 weeks with our next episode. Until then, thanks for listening.
Coming up next, it's Sleepy Hollow, followed by The Prophecy on Meet Your Double Feature.